Alright, so doing a quick video on the installation of the mp-rezeau harness for the Alpine A110. This is what you get in the kit. You of course get the side-bolt harness. This is a 75mm harness. It is a 4-point harness. You get some instructions with it. And that's the buckle there. You also get the custom bracket for the 110 as well. Lovely little box that it comes in. You've got the two little anchor points which go into the seat rails. You've got the two bolts for that which goes behind the seat on the firewall. They give you some nice little CNC machined little inserts to go into the seatbelt to stop the alerts for not having a seatbelt on as well, if you choose not to use a seatbelt on a track. And that's the main bit which goes onto the firewall. It's CNC machined very, very nicely. There is a few little sharp edges, but overall it is a very nice piece of kit and a beautiful little template to help cut the carpet out as well. So let's go ahead and look at the installation. So the first thing I would probably do to save a little bit of time and effort is to adjust the length of the straps. They come all the way extended for something that's going to be mounted much further back. Of course, the firewall's right behind in the Alpine. I'm 6'3", have the chair pretty much all the way back, and you can see that's where these straps sort of come to. So adjust these so that you're not trying to do it behind the seat where it's a little bit of a pain in the butt. It'll just be quicker and more convenient. As per the actual official video from mp-rezeau, you want to remove the seat bolts from underneath. If you look, there's 4 bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4. Underneath the car, there will be 4 rubber grommets. Remove the rubber grommets, they just pull out. Then you want to unscrew the screws. Alright, so to remove the nuts, you're going to need a 16mm socket with a small extension. There is one bolt that does not need the extension. Now looking at the bolts, they have a little captive washer on them as well. So it is important to completely remove them with the socket. If you try to unscrew them with your hands, they may actually fall off and go inside the aluminium pan, and you can lose them, and it's a right pain in the butt. So completely unscrew them with the socket, let them fall out straight down, otherwise you may lose them. So remove the 4 screws from the seat. The next thing we want to do is to remove the seat belt and thread it through the seat. You see there's a spring clip on the outside. You want to pull the spring clip out and then slide the actual seat belt off. So we can see what that looks like there. You slide this little bit up, and then you want to slide it so that the round bit can go through there. Once you've done that, you want to slide the seat belt through the little retaining strap up here. Then you're going to be able to remove the seat out as well. Okay, one thing to note when you do take out the seat, you see you've got studs on the bottom of the seat rails. So when you do pull it out, you want to be quite careful. They're going to be hungry and they want to eat some paint. So put like a little towel over your sill, so when you do pull it out, you're not going to scratch anything here as well. There is also the cabling for the sensors to detect the seat and everything underneath. So let's just get the chair a little bit sideways to be able to get access to those now. Okay, I lied. There is only a connection underneath the seat for the driver's seat only. The passenger seat doesn't have it. So there will be a small cable which comes up under here. There are 2 plastic plugs that go into the bottom of the seat. They can just be pulled straight out. Then there is a large black and yellow plug. There is a small little rectangle which you push down, move the black lever across, and then you can just disconnect the plug from the seat. So you want to put your seat a little bit sideways to get access. Pull the 2 plastic plugs, small tab, black lever, that yellow plug will slide straight out, and then you'll be able to remove the seat from the car. Do a little bit of vacuuming while you're here as well. Okay, so what you need to do, you need to install the harness points to this location here. However, you can't really get access to that bolt very easily. So as per the instruction video, what you want to do is to loosen the front bolt up. You don't have to completely remove it. You just need to loosen that one so that the whole chair can pivot out of this, and then you can get access to that. Loosen the front on each side, and then you need to remove the rear too so that you can actually lift that seat up. So let's do that now. Okay, so now we've got the two rear bolts out, the front one's loosened, and you can see the chair can move. Now here we see a stroke of brilliance. A nice beautiful wooden box is being designed correctly so that you can simply push it up underneath the chair. That'll give you space to be able to work here. Good thinking, a nice little stand to be able to access those bolts. So go ahead and undo those two bolts. Once you've unbolted them, you want to put your harness mounting points in there and fasten them back up. Simply undo, put this on top, screw it back down, quick and simple. Alright, so after you've done up the main bolts nice and tight, you then want to do up your side bolts there to your seat rails. So tighten them all up, make sure you've got Loctite on them as appropriate, etc. And then you'll be good to go to get the harness put on next. Alright, so as per the official video, you want to undo these ones, add a bit of Loctite and screw it up to the right amount. Make sure you get the correct orientation. So you want the buckle on the outside, and the little clamp thingy clip comes from the bottom. So undo, Loctite, screw it up, make sure there's enough movement allowed in there. Alright, so now it's time to do the installation side of the car. Get a little tool to remove your little grommet, your little plug there. You can use a couple of screwdrivers. This needs to be put in there, and then you put the plug back through that little hole. You will need to push it in pretty deep for that little hole to line up. So we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so we've got the cutout template there in place. You now want to go ahead and cut inside both of those squares with a very sharp Stanley knife or scalpel. Probably the most tricky bit is the corners, to make sure you cut all the way up onto those. Either way, it's pretty straightforward. Doesn't really matter if you're going to get it perfect or not. Okay, so once those have been cut out and you can lift them up a little bit, go ahead, remove that middle plug. If you don't have the proper plug removal tool, get some screwdrivers underneath the aluminium so you don't tear that too much. So pull out the plug, take the template off and put the plug back in. Okay, so with the little tabs, you can see that we've cut them out there. They're not perfect. If you haven't cut it out in the corners, you can actually just pull it and it'll tear pretty easy. So just make sure that, yeah, you've cut it enough. And see if you can pull those out. And that's what it looks like there. So you can see that there is actually a little raised bit here with some rivets, hence the little cutout. So it's, again, really good setup having the template in the kit to make this super, super easy and also very, very clean. So go ahead and remove both of the squares. Okay, so I've actually put the harness onto the bracket for now. It'll just be a little bit quicker and easier so that you're not working in a confined space. That simply goes up in there, and you've got two bolts at the top. So go ahead, put that in, bolt that down securely. Okay, so we've got the two harness pieces installed here. Again, while you've got the space, while you've got the access, adjust them. That's where I like to have the little tabs here. You will, once fully adjusted, need to sort of put these back through the middle as well, but that'll just be a good starting point until you're all set. So go ahead and do that. While you're here, grab a glass cleaner, put a little bit of glass cleaner, do whatever else you need to while you've got the space. The next step is to put the seat back in place as well. So let's do that now. Okay, so before you put the seat in place, if you're working on the driver's side seat, you want to put the little center cable and everything before you bolt it down. So the procedure for that is going to be to put the yellow clip in, then flick the black plastic retainer, which will clip over that little rectangle. You'll hear a little click sound so that it is locked in place. And then with the two little rubber grommet things, you just push those straight into the little holes. They're an oval shape, so the orientation does make is actually pretty important. So insert the yellow, fold the black lever over until it clicks in place, and then push the two little retaining grommets up. You can then bolt the seat with the 4 bolts and then push the 4 rubber grommets back in place. Okay, so we can see we've got the seat in. The easiest way to put the seat in is to put the head in first and then put it in and turn it around. So put the top of the headrest in there first and then just carefully put it in there. Again, make sure you've got a towel so that the studs don't eat the paint. At this point, you can slide the seat all the way forward, so you've got a bit of access behind the seat here. You can then put the seat belt back through, so feed it through the guide here. You then want to put the little buckle through there and then pull the seat belt up, and that'll make it, you'll hear a nice little click sound. After you've put the seatbelt in, the seat's in place, double check that you've got all the buckles and everything in the right orientation before you bolt the seat in place. So you've got the label facing downwards, of course. Everything's there, and you've got some rough sort of positioning of the seat belts in terms of their length as well. So make sure it's all good, and then go ahead and put the 4 bolts underneath the seat to bolt the seat in place, and then put the grommets back in after that. Alright, so as you can see, we're pretty much done. The seat is firmly in place, all the bolts are done up, the harness is in place, everything's sorted. The last step does actually require a bit of coordination, and it is pretty tricky. You want to make sure that your wife is out. You then go and get your girlfriend, put your girlfriend into the seat, and then fit the harness as appropriate. Make sure your fitting is complete before your wife gets home, and then you're good to go for a drive, and that is installation of a harness. Again, it is an absolutely beautiful piece of kit, fits well, looks well. The only one thing I'm actually going to be doing is to buy some harness, some seatbelt covers. Whether or not this is going to rub onto the leather and start to wear it away a little bit. So I did order just off online store, $20–30 or so, some covers for the harness down here at the top. It's fine, and also the seatbelt as well, just to look after the leather on the seats. So if you do get a harness, I would suggest buying some harness seatbelt covers for that. 75mm and also 50mm for the seatbelt. So there you go, that's the installation. Happy driving and enjoy.